Box to Box NBA Preview, hosted by Ndegz.
Welcome to my NBA preview. If you watched our last one, the Indiana Pacers preview, I think I finished it saying the next one is a team whose president of basketball ops has the same name as a Kenyan tribe. That name is Masai Ujiri, and that team in 17th place is the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors come in 17th place, obviously. Won a title a few years ago. They finished last season with a 41-41 record. Good for 9th in the East, tied with the Hawks. They lost to the Bulls in the play-in, so they didn't make the playoffs. They started playing 500 ball first 3 months of the season, and then stuff just becoming just went downhill from there. Not really downhill, but just like they were just 500. Like, this team is the definition of 500. 41-41 record. They were 500 just before the All-Star. They finished the season with at 500. When I say 500, I mean 0.500, which is 41-41. So your record is 500, 41-41. So Siakam did his thing. He was an All-Star. Scotty Barnes was Rookie of the Year the previous year. Then this last year, that was his sophomore year. Serious sophomore slump. Like, there's something called a sophomore slump. Second year of the league, many players go through it. Like, they just have a dip in performance, and either it's just the league catching up to you or fatigue, or I don't know what it is, but it just happens. Then Fred VanVleet was not the same sharpness that you saw in previous years, but he was okay. He was alright. 5 guys averaged double figures after they make the bid trade for Jakob Poeltl. He played 26 games, so in those 26 games, 5 guys actually averaged double figures. So they saw something in him that makes their team tick, which ended up in him being paid 4 years, 80 mil contract, got the bag. Then even during that period, they had the least turnovers in the league, but their half-court offense was 26th, right? Their defense, something that they really prided themselves on, just started, didn't look amazing. And just from everything just being average, they fired Nick Nurse. They're one of, I think, 3 or 4 coaches who actually won a title in their first year. If you guys can name the other, I don't know how many there are. I can only think of 2, Nick Nurse and Steve Kerr. Yeah, but Nick Nurse was fired. Then, those rumors of OG and Anunoby getting traded, Siakam getting traded, none of them actually ended up leaving. But what they did was they acquired Dennis Schroeder. He was a free agent coming from the Lakers. Then they got Jalen McDaniels. This is Jalen, not Jaden, from the Timberwolves. Garrett Temple as well. As I said earlier, they extended Jakob Poeltl 4 years, 80 mil. And they also extended, Gary Trent Jr. opted into his player option, 18.6 mil. He thought he'd get the bag, he didn't get it, then he opted in, right? So he's going to play his ass off this year. Then Darko Rajakovic came in as the coach, and they had 1 draft pick in Grady Dick. Players they lost: Fred VanVleet and Delano Banton. Draft pick, the only pick they had, the 13th pick, they picked Grady Dick, who is a shooter. As you all know, Toronto were not amazing in shooting. They were 28th in 3-point made field goals, and they were they were 28th in 3-point made field goals. 3-point percentage also not that amazing. So adding someone who brings length, which actually adds to their identity as having long players, a 6'8" forward, like it just works, right? Someone with a 6'8" frame rather. Then players on expiring contracts. The big one, Pascal Siakam, 37.8 mil expiring contract. Gary Trent Jr., 18.56 million, but he's opted into his player option. Then Thad Young as well, 8 million, but that is non-guaranteed. I think only 1 mil is guaranteed, if I am not wrong. I think so. Then Otto Porter Jr. also opted into his 6.3 million deal last year. Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn, Garrett Temple, Christian Koloko are the other players on expiring contracts. So there's a lot of decisions to be made with this team, and many players here will either get paid or get traded, right? If in like February things are not looking good, Siakam is a great trade asset. OG Anunoby is a great trade asset. Gary Trent Jr. Just break the whole thing up. But I feel like Siakam is someone you can build around. He can't be the first player. You have to bring in another star and then you build around those two, right? Because he's a really good defensive player. And yeah, those are the moves that they made in the off season. With that being said, here is the rotation and how it looks like. At point guard, we have Dennis Schroeder. At shooting guard, you have OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes at small forward, Pascal Siakam at power forward, and at center, Jacob Butler. Then Gary Trent Jr., Grady Dick coming off the bench, Chris Boucher, another long player, Precious Achiuwa, Gary Temple, Jalen McDaniels, just some of the players that are going to come off the bench. Otto Porter Jr. as well, who won a title with the Warriors 2 years ago. Coming off the bench, Thad Young, giving that veteran leadership, and Christian Koloko, and also Freeman Liberty. My one big question for this team is, are they going to break it up? Rajakovic, yes, the coach, the new coach, has to find a way to bring this team together and create an identity. Obviously, defense was one of their biggest identities, but when Nick Nurse goes, he's triangle in twos. The moment you see this from Nick Nurse, just know you're about to see some stuff defensively, king of the zone. This boy, watching Nick Nurse coach is actually a pleasure. Anyway, it's not about him. This is Rajakovic. So if they're in the hunt around All-Star, that is February 16th, 17th there, then they can actually see how they can keep this team together and start giving extensions to people, because you don't want to lose Siakam for free. You don't want to lose both Siakam and Gary Trent for free, OG Anunoby is also someone who has been in trade rumors for forever, So it all depends on how they play this season up until the All-Star break. And when the All-Star break gets here, what happens, right? So my one big question is, will this young core stay together? I don't know. But yeah, with that being said, 24-second shot clock. The Raptors, my prediction for the Raptors, I see the Raptors finishing in 7th place in the East, just getting about 45 wins, and finishing ahead of the Hawks and the Magic. The one thing I know for a fact is that when this team gets locked in on defense, they can actually defend, and that will win them games. They are annoyingly long. They can't shoot threes, but they can really stress you defensively. So for the Raptors, I am going for 7th place finish. I say it, yes. 7th place finish in the East and make the playoffs. Now that we're done with Drake's Raptors, moving on to the West. The first 4 teams in my top 20, 20 to 16 or 17, have all been teams from the East. This is the first team from the West in my top 20. See you soon.
Ready for the ultimate slam dunk of content? Don't miss out on any of our NBA previews. Hit subscribe and be the MVP of your basketball knowledge game.